it might, but the volume may need to be up just a little bit.
Is the mic itself turned on first? Yeah. Let's turn the volume. Go right ahead.
Hello?
That's better.
All right. Awesome. Thanks for taking a pause on your bridge games. So I'm Regina Mahoney, City Manager here in Essex Junction, and
Harlan Smith, Interim Buildings Coordinator for the City of Essex Junction.
so we just wanted to touch base with folks and give you a heads up on what's happening here at 2 Lincoln as best as we know it today. There's lots of things still sort of open and getting figured out and sort of subject to change going forward. But for the most part, what is clear is at the end of December 2023, this calendar year, the agreement between the town and the city will come to an end. So folks know you're in the city building right now, and this is staffed by Nicole, town staff. And so moving forward, that agreement comes to an end at the end of December. The city budget that just passed last week has a adult program person in it budgeted starting January 1. So that is intentional on the city's part to be able to figure out adult programming, senior programming included, starting July 1 when the relationship with the town recreation department ends. The Essex Junction Recreation Department will be having listening sessions over the coming months to try to think through what that position should look like, and we've got some time to figure that out before we go into the hiring process for that person. So physically here in this building, there are 2 phases of changes that'll happen here at 2 Lincoln. The first is come July 1, we will have more staff in this building. The city will have more staff in this building. And we're going to need these 2 rooms, your library room and the game room. So the plan is to bring over as much as you need for programming and supplies and things into this space as best as possible, and then probably cleaning out the rest of that stuff. And Nicole's got a little bit of a plan for that.
Yeah, you'll see in the May newsletter, which is out right on the front, what we're going to do is open up those 2 rooms starting May 1st, run all the way through May 26th, and put everything out that we aren't able to bring over here or that we don't need immediately for you to go in, take a look if there's something that belongs to you that you maybe donated or something that you enjoy using that we may not have anymore. That is okay to go in there and take that and bring that home and use it for your own personal use. Or if you have a church or organization or something that might benefit from some of the stuff in there, please by all means.
From May 1
so
to
the month
May
of May.
26.
So we need,
Right.
what the plan is right now is we already are going to move all programming. The exercise programs are going to move out of there. They'll be in this room for the month of May because
Okay.
as of July 1st, we will not be in there. So we need to take the month of May itself just to go ahead and get everything taken care of and everything out.
Is it all the physical things you're taking?
Physical.
The chairs, the
So that
stuff
as
in
of
the-
Memorial Day weekend,
Right.
we will be closed Memorial Day weekend because that's when Harlan and I will be working on the transition of the city taking the 2 rooms. So when we come back after May,
Yeah.
they can start going in there and working in there to be able to get ready for their July 1st.
How do they
residents
access
who are gonna be in there
that?
working.
How do they access that space? I'm not that familiar with it, so
it's from the
is
back.
there
It's from the back.
they have a
Yep,
Okay.
they're both right, yep, right through there. Yep.
Go ahead.
I'm new to this and I'm still trying to figure out city versus town and all that. But as I understand it, the books and the chairs and the supplies belong to the senior center?
Yes. Right.
Yeah, so that's a little bit to what Nicole was just talking about in terms of trying to offer those supplies and things and materials back up to
that was a yes or no question.
Yes.
Yes. Yes,
They belong
Yes.
to the senior center.
Yes.
So if Nicole is an employee of the city,
Town.
okay, whatever.
Well,
If she, okay, just a minute. I've got a point here. Why is someone who's not going to be working for the senior center making decisions on moving the stuff? Shouldn't that be the seniors doing that?
If you want to do that, I'm more than happy to let you do that. It's a big job, and basically what we're doing is anything that we are right now using for programming from now to December, we're trying to get it into this space, along with all of our toiletries, all of that stuff. Harlan has been really nice. He said he's going to grab us some storage things for in here, some nice
Yeah.
cabinetry and stuff.
Need them.
ordered a
Yep, so that we can get all that stuff in
Right.
here, but we only have so much space. But like the leftover stuff, like there's gonna be a lot of knitting supplies left. There's gonna be a lot of arts and crafts stuff left. There's gonna be that type of materials that are there that somebody has to move out of that space or find a home for. I'm willing, if you guys wanna talk about that. Our best guess was to say, hey, for the month of May, that's our time frame to get all of that out of there. Please go in and help yourself to whatever you would like. If there's puzzles you like, if there's books that you would like. Brownell Library has sent us that any books that we do not get rid of, they're gonna come and take them on the Friday before Memorial Day and put them into the sale, the book sale, so we've got that set. We're gonna take one bookshelf in there is not a built-in, so we'll bring that over here and move as many puzzles as we can and start a puzzle table in here. So we're gonna try and still have a lot of that stuff, we just have to scale down.
Right. So is there a fund is there money that belongs to the senior center? Is there an option of having garage sales or anything like that and turning the
Generating
supplies
money.
and the stuff
And that's what it is.
into a cash
Yep,
for
that's-
the senior center?
Yep, that's what it is, and when you look at the announcement that's in the newsletter, it does say that it is a spring garage sale. What we don't want to do is tell seniors, you have to go in there and you have to pay for that, because you may have been the one who donated it, or whatever, but any money that comes out of that stuff, because it's gonna be by donation.
So there's
So-
gonna be a garage sale?
Yes, so the money that's coming in is
When
gonna
is
go
the
right back
garage
into
sale?
your senior center.
Thank you.
Actually, Nicole, could
Yes.
I ask a question? So the dues and any money that the senior center, through fundraising or whatever else they may do, that money is managed for the seniors through the town budget. Is that a correct statement?
No, it's through the city. Well, yes and no. It is only for the, so any money, let's say something comes in, you hold a luncheon and the money all comes in, it goes right back into the fund that funds their luncheons. So we're self-sufficient. It's not going into some separate enterprise fund. It's not going to the city. It's not going to the town.
That piece
Yes.
I understand, but obviously, as she was just discussing, are there going to be monies left over? And I don't know if you're familiar with the budget, so
Yep.
town is
Yep.
110,
Yes.
city is 210. Does that sit in a 110
It's in
account or
it's
a
in-
210
it's in a
account?
210.
So that's something we're going to have to address.
Yes.
Okay.
Is there money already
So,
that the seniors own, like $20,000 someplace or
yeah,
other?
so your nest egg, like it was spoken about in a city council meeting, is under lock and key. It has never been touched. It's still sitting there. The thing that needs to be figured out, and I can't really speak to it honestly, and I don't know if you can, but that money in your original MOU, because I did read over the original one, when the money came in and when you made this agreement with the municipalities, it is slated specifically can only be used for the senior center, for your operations and for programming or whatever you might need. It cannot be used for payment of staff. It cannot be used for,
Who accesses that?
well, that's
Who manages that money?
that the money is sitting in a city account, because like he was talking about, it's a 200 or 210 if you want to call it. It's sitting in a
There should
city
be a
account, but it
board.
is not to be used for anything other than your funding. But your budget, your operating budget, yearly operating budget, does not use that money whatsoever. Every time we do the budget for your operating budget, I base it off of what we anticipate having for membership. All programs, we run them at cost, so whatever we make is exactly how much it costs us to run that program.
Okay,
So that
we
nesting
got
is
it.
there.
So who has access to the money?
Well, it does not, so I
Who
asked
can
that.
sign out money out of
I
that?
can answer that, because I did ask that question. I've asked that question multiple times. What I was told, this was back in like the Sarah Macy time. What I was told is, let's say you guys said, okay, we're out, we're gonna go do our own thing. That money now it does belong to the municipality in the sense that in the MOU, all financial and physical assets it says it in the MOU were signed over to the municipality. And the municipality is stated as the city of Essex Junction.
So the.
But it has
So the
stipulations
answer
that
is
can only
Essex
use.
Junction, a person at Essex Junction has access to the money.
The
Correct.
municipality.
And if it's a
correct.
senior's money, why is the city have access to it? And why don't the seniors, shouldn't?
Because it's not the city money anymore, because when
Should
you
there
sign the
be-
MOU,
We should have a board.
There should
Well,
be a
that's-
board of this isn't really for you. There should be a
Sorry, it
board
really
of
is.
That
seniors,
manages that money.
you know, because you're not gonna be here anymore.
I understand, but what I'm trying to tell you, because I just talked to the lawyers the other day about your money.
Uh-huh.
We are trying to secure it, make sure that it is all set. So I'm trying to give you this
All set for
information.
what?
All set so you don't lose it, so it doesn't go into the rec budget to be used for fireworks,
Better
or to
darn
go to
well
the
not.
town to be used for,
Well, I mean, you know,
scavenger hunt.
it seems to me, talking to the lawyers, that you're making sure it doesn't go into the city, but that
No, that's not
does, just
the
a
case.
minute. Just a
If
minute.
you're not letting me speak, and I don't
No,
appreciate
you're not
that.
letting me speak.
I'm trying to.
If
give
the
you
lawyer,
I'm trying to give you information, Meredith.
no,
And what
you're
I'm
not
told.
listening.
Could we have one at a time talking,
This
please?
is very hard to give information just to be told, no, stop talking. That's rude, okay? Let's have respect for each other. When it comes down to that money, what I have been told, and I read it, you can ask Donna, I wish Donna was here because she's one of the people that signed the original MOU. It states in the original MOU, all physical and financial assets of the two corporations that came together are now being signed over and are property of the city of Essex Junction. It was signed over at that time in that way because it was anticipated that the two municipalities would be merged. And it was signed by the manager who was for the city and the town. So it made sense. There were actually two drafts of it. The original draft just said the money was being signed over to the municipality. It didn't state which one. Then they said, wait, we're gonna merge, let's make it more official, and they changed it. So that money is sitting in a city account. It technically belongs to the city because of what the MOU says, but it is the money that originally came and was signed over by Essex Junction Seniors, Inc. and the Essex Meal Site Seniors, like LLC, and that's where that
Is
came
there
from.
anything in writing that says the city will not touch the money?
It says that that money can only be used for Essex Area Senior Center Programming and Operations.
Yeah, and thank you, Nicole.
That's the
is
best, that's
super-
everything I know,
yeah.
I will step completely out now.
That is super helpful because I was unclear on all the history of that, and that's awesome. Thank you for laying that out. And I can say right now, the city has no intention of that money being used for anything other than what that MOU requires that it be used for, which is for the program and the seniors.
Can that be put in writing?
It is
As a
in that
guarantee?
agreement.
Well,
It's written in the original MOU.
Yeah.
It is in writing, it is used just for you, but it is controlled by the city in terms of the account.
So does that mean, can the money also be used for the adult programming or specifically senior?
No. just
I
the
think it's
center.
written specifically for seniors.
Yes.
Just for the Essex Area
Can't the
Senior Center.
seniors have a little group that is in charge of this and they can.
A board.
A little board that takes care of.
I think,
So, yeah, so the,
can I say
yeah,
something?
go ahead.
And I think Liz was gonna mention too, you had one. And in the MOU, it was, part of the MOU was that it needed to be dissolved. That was part of their agreement.
Yeah, the seniors always, as we operated independently, we always had a board that really met on a regular basis to decide everything, from programming to finances to fundraising, and that's where that money comes from, partially grants, partially fundraising, and that we knew that was invested and that was going to be for programming and for the future. And we existed on what we raised until it was turned over.
So,
At the same time, when it was turned over, we also, not the whole board, but we also had a committee that was involved with the hiring process of the person who would take Nicole's spot to be the director. At that time, it was to be the director. And that went by the board very quickly. We were not involved anymore. We were up to a point, and we interviewed people, and then we were told to go home.
Okay.
So
can I,
we would like to do that again, to have some say in hiring of the person who's going to be
Liz, you need to
here.
speak up
Yeah.
a little.
Okay.
Can I-
I just said.
can I touch base on the boards and the
Yeah.
committees?
Yes, we would.
Okay.
So,
We'd like to have a board.
So to answer your question about the board, Regina and myself cannot answer that for you. The boards are developed through the city council. That would be something to be brought to them. And an interesting scenario, which we're all gonna have to work out, and the one thing that I would like everybody to understand is there's a lot of moving parts to this, and we're trying to work it out for the best of everybody, including yourselves. There has been a lot of talk about a rec advisory board. I'm not sure if any of you guys have seen that out there, where there's a lot of the people within the city that would like to see the rec advisory board come back, which is a board that kind of works with the rec advisory. So to answer your question about whether there would be one here, I guess there's a couple of different ways that the city council could do that, where they could, yes, absolutely put a board together that only managed for the seniors and the senior programming, or they could make sure that if they did put together a recreation advisory council, that seniors were members on there to speak to the senior needs.
Okay.
I think that would be, and again, it's all early, we're not really sure. The input that we're getting from you is definitely gonna go back to the city council, and we're going to try to come up with the best solution for everybody.
I think that's a wonderful idea, because what has happened over the past couple of years has been the seniors feel as though they have no voice. And things have been happening to us here willy-nilly. And nobody listens, and nobody's, and things have been whittled down and whittled down and whittled down. And I think, we are an important part of the community. We vote.
But
Pay
not all of us.
taxes. We pay taxes.
Yeah.
Big taxes.
Go ahead.
Me?
Yes.
How, since we're dealing with a city and a town, or however this,
City.
is this only part of Essex Junction, this senior center?
Yes.
Or so there's no relationship, or, I'm confused, I mean,
So-
you're,
So right now, the relationship is the same as it is, which is
I don't know
there,
what it is.
yeah, it's, the space is owned by the city. The staffing in this center is town staff. At the end of December, that relationship changes. The space still remains a city-owned space, and the town staff will start to do their programming in other locations, not in this space.
So I have a question about that. Before you boot us out of here, are you gonna give us time to find another space? Or is it just goodbye, see ya?
So,
Are you gonna help us find a space?
there is,
If they're in charge, they need to find a space.
yeah, so there's no, just to answer your question directly, there's no plan today to boot you out of this space.
just reduce the space.
Yes, we need these
Yeah,
two
these
rooms.
are going. Okay.
But this space, the intention so far is to maintain it for senior programming, but also we have a lot of other needs and groups in the city that could benefit from using this space when it's available. So the plan is to continue programming in this space and potentially other spaces. Perhaps there's trips that folks want to go on. Perhaps there's activities that make sense in some other location than this space. There's lots that could be done, And the intention is to try to figure out exactly what would be the best thing over the coming months. But the intention is to not kick you out of this space. Except for, we might need to vacate this building in full when we renovate to Lincoln.
Yes.
When I can get to that part of this, I will get there.
Okay.
Do you want me to keep going or? Okay.
Can I just say something?
I don't know, time-wise, a year and a half, 2 years ago, a surprise, we were surprised that, and we found out on a Tuesday that Tuesday night there was a proposition before the trustees that the seniors can only use the senior center from 9 to 1, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and in the afternoon was going to go to daycare. So we would have had to arrange all of our have everything in the morning, only 3 days a week. So that's why I think people are a little nervous, because that was almost got slid, but we found out about it, and some of us went to the board and spoke to the board or on Zoom, about that. So that's why we're a little nervous about what's going to happen, because that was tried
teen
before.
center. It was the teen center. We were going to share the space with the teen center, and
But
that
they
is
wanted us to be
problematic when we
here
we
only
want to know
mornings.
what times we have, and
Yeah, but we were only going to have it in the morning
Yeah.
from 9 to 1.
yeah,
We
right.
can't do
What
that.
seniors,
That's
want to
better.
come, at 9 to 1, at 9 in the morning?
Aren't there other places?
Mornings are not good for seniors.
Yeah.
They're not.
Yes.
Yeah, the
Yep,
gentleman
go ahead.
had his hand up.
What's happening to the space upstairs?
So the space upstairs is, so there's 2 phases of how I'm going to be talking about everything. So let me just explain that real quick. So phase 1, when we're just talking about the physical space, we've already talked about down here. These 2 spaces will be turned into city offices. Upstairs, right now, we are in 2 offices in the hallway that Chips has traditionally used for their office spaces. We've already taken 2 offices up there, and we're likely to take another one in the next month or 2, again, to prepare for that July 1 time period where we are bringing more staff to the city. The clerk is coming back here to 2 Lincoln. The building will be open. A lot more services will happen out of here. So that is phase 1 for July 1. Then phase 2 is a more purposeful and larger renovation of the building. We're going to be adding an elevator. We're going to be reconfiguring the space so when you actually enter to Lincoln, the municipal offices, it feels like you've entered somewhere. And there will be people to be able to talk to about where to go. So the assistant clerk will be there, the zoning administrator will be there. So there's a number of renovations that will be happening to the building. Those are not finalized yet. We're still just in what's called the schematic design of it. And right now the intention is that all of that renovation, both upstairs and downstairs, is from this wall that way.
Okay.
So nothing renovated on this side.
Both up and down?
Correct.
Correct.
That's the current plan.
Okay.
Everything's subject to change, but that is the current plan. And essentially, it's sort of tough to tell, but the elevator will be right now where the game room is. There'll be 2 other accessible bathrooms right outside there. So really the intent is to set up the building for much better accessible public access with lots of room to do different things here in the building.
But you're bringing people over, July 2nd or whatever, right?
Yep.
Yep.
But then when your renovations start, whenever you decide to do it, where are you gonna put them then?
Right. Great question.
Do you know?
And lots to figure out. Don't know the answer.
Because I'm wondering why you're moving them in if you're then gonna have to move them out.
So July 1, The city will be, it seems somewhat like the city exists already, because it does, as of July 1, 2022. But in this year, there's a lot combined between the city and the town. This relationship is not the only one that is getting figured out. And July 1, the clerk's office will be here at the city. In an ideal world, if everything worked out perfectly, we would have, the renovation would have been done, and July 1, everybody moved in our new, perfect space, but just not reality.
So some of our staff is still operating out of 81 Main Street, which is the town office?
Right, up the,
Correct.
Right.
And as of July 1, all of those agreements and being budgeted together separate. That's why those employees will now need to come and work in this building. Need to.
You can't negotiate with the town to keep them over there.
And that's why
Renovations happen.
Yeah.
Good question. No, that's a good question.
Yeah, the only people that are not have to move in that have to move bubble are the recreation pieces. That's why we're here till the end of December.
Well, but
technically, if
it's-
that money didn't exist, we'd be going to
negotiated.
Who owns the building the town offices are?
The town does.
The town does.
Who owns the building?
Used to be a gas
Yeah, but they don't wanna keep it, they wanna.
Yeah,
They're all- I
so
was
there's
just reading
Well,
about
then why don't we
millions of
let-
dollars.
lots of details to work out and figure out as we move forward, but that essentially is the strategy right now. And so with that full renovation, the intention is that Chips remains upstairs as well, but also in a reduced footprint. Because the city needs more space on the second floor and also more space on the first floor.
But the total renovation, according to this, wouldn't, for the whole building where we may or may not ever exist, is not until 2024?
Yes,
The
so
earliest?
the window is very broad at this point. We will know a whole lot more as we get, the intention next Wednesday is to get the architect under contract, really get moving on the construction drawings, and we'll have a lot better idea once we're ready to go out to bid for the actual construction. We really won't know when this is actually happening until that point in time. We are still in a situation where there's very little workforce, supplies are very expensive, there's a bunch of things, and so we just can't anticipate how that'll work out. But the funding we're using must be spent by the end of 2026.
Okay.
So that's our absolute deadline, really hoping we get it done in 2024 or 2025.
So, and I want to say this to the seniors, this is a tremendous sacrifice we're making of giving up the 2 rooms.
Oh, it is.
They're so important to us. We spread out, we have, if someone's in this room and there's a lot of activity going on, they have a place where they can go that's quiet and nurturing and very positive. So this is, I don't know if this is a done deal, but this is a huge sacrifice for the seniors to make. Given that, we will be consolidating all of our activities in here. Activities that go on in there, activities that go on in here. We will have more need for programming in here and time, because we've got our activities all spread out. So if we have to share the space with, say, the teen center or the library committee who wants to meet here, I mean, we would like to meet at night. We have groups that would love to meet at night. We have a lot of ideas about making this a real gathering place for a diverse group of people. And so I really think that we have to focus on dedicating this space to the seniors. And given the fact that we're giving up 2 rooms, I hope that the city council can embrace that, because the seniors are going to really need this space.
And the other thing, Paula, to what you're talking about, this is where Harlan is your best friend. Because he has advocated for you guys to be able to come up with a system. He's been working really hard on it with the door locks to be able to come up with ways that you can have a code where, let's say the bridge group, I know Women's Bridge has wanted to meet here in the evenings a lot.
Right.
There's no reason you can't, other than the fact that we don't have a way to secure the building because it's all attached. He's been working really hard trying to figure out, can we do temporary codes? Can we have a code that can be only active at this time of night so they can get in, but they can't access everything else? So it definitely is absolutely a possibility. It's just the logistics of trying to figure out the security of the building.
And the thought, with that in mind, of bringing in other groups who need this space really now makes it doubly difficult
Oh, yeah.
to give up any time to other groups, because,
To adult,
you know,
quote unquote
we
things, yeah.
need it.
So, go ahead.
So, I have a question for Nicole. On there being spaces made available in the town where some of these activities can take place?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely, as of January 1st, that I'm tasked with that, with making sure that all the activities that you still have, we have spaces that they can be done in the town. It's gonna require, because we don't have a building being built yet, it's gonna require the use of Memorial Hall, use of conference rooms, community rooms at the police station, the library, area churches who are willing to say, hey, you can use this room. That's
But so
another piece.
this activity will take place at this place always?
But
Another activity
But the one
elsewhere?
piece you have to remember is Blake and I will still be doing that, but we won't be tied to any programming with the senior center. Because the senior center, the entity itself, and this is the tricky part, the EASC is an entity of itself. If the EASC moved over to Lincoln Hall, it would still be the EASC and all your stuff would still be all your stuff, you would just be in a different location. The building itself doesn't make it the EASC, it just happens to be where it's located. Now, with the programming that we'll do, we'll try to still have bingo in the town. We'll try to offer spaces where bridge players can meet. Make sure you have a conference room that's scheduled and open for you for 4 hours on a day. But it's not gonna be here on your newsletter. It's not gonna be associated with the senior center. It's not gonna say the Essex Area Senior Center Bridge Group is meeting here, because it's not gonna be. Does that make sense?
So it's virtually, there are gonna be two different senior
It's
centers?
eventually that is gonna end up
So
happening.
either we go with you,
Yeah.
or to stay here.
You go wherever you're able to.
Yeah, but I mean,
And
there's
it's
two
part of the
options, right?
confusion
There'll be
of
Essex
the
town, and then
separation
there'll be
between the town and the city.
It's the same reason why you've got 2 rec departments,
Right.
and you've got 2 of everything. And we work really hard with the rec not to duplicate each other's programming. And hopefully that'll continue with the separation. If, let's say they say, hey, we're having a hard time fitting bingo here, can you guys fit it somewhere up there? Hopefully those lines of communication will be there. And hopefully that'll happen.
You
I
have
believe this lady has a
seniors.
question for me, she's
Is
looking
there-
directly at me.
Since the senior center is an entity of itself, is there any sense or any advantage to separating the senior center from either municipality and being an independent entity?
Well, that's an interesting, that's an interesting scenario that you bring up. I feel like at one point,
We were.
in its
yeah.
lifetime,
We were.
it was.
Yeah.
It was its own entity.
We were up until.
I'm not exactly
5 years
sure
ago.
how.
Well, they had their 2 separate, there was the LLC and there was the Inc. The reason that it's no longer like that, why they got rid of that, was because they couldn't afford the insurances for the spaces that they needed to meet in.
Okay.
And they needed that overhead, that oversight, to be able to continue their program spaces.
So for the municipality to take on all of those insurances,
And provide the space.
and so they
Because we don't
started
pay-
providing.
We don't rent the space. This space, the utilities, everything is paid for by the city.
Donated by the city.
It's donated by the city.
And answer that question.
So have you figured out,
But it was also donated by donation from the Hale family.
have you figured out yet what you're gonna do for your
And
seniors
to
that
answer
don't
that question, I
drive?
don't know how we move forward.
We got
I
2
think the
things
plan that we
going.
have is good, but it is gonna require this open communication that we're having with you all and trying to make sure that we all do the best thing for everybody to operate within the areas that we do have.
Your question?
Have you figured out yet what you're gonna do for your seniors that don't drive?
Good question. So, again, the agreement with the town, between the town and the city that will end at the end of December 2023, also refers to the senior van. So the senior van will stay as it is until the end of the calendar year. After that point, on the city side, the city's not going to be funding that van.
Right.
So the city is covered by fixed route bus service, but also the ADA paratransit service, because it serves everybody within 3/4 of a mile of the fixed route service, which basically covers the entire city. So part of the plan is you have to be eligible for the program, though. So part of the part of the plan going forward is to make sure, we're hoping we can sort of get somebody from that program to come in a couple of days and talk with folks and help you figure out how to get signed up for that program if you're eligible. So that's the plan come January 1 on the city side. And all of this will be an evolution. If it turns out that that's terrible and awful and not working for folks, we can always shift and evolve going forward.
Has the town offered to do anything?
The town, I believe, intends, Nicole can probably speak to this better, but I think the town intends to keep the van running for the town.
For the town.
For the town.
Services will not change
can't come
if you
here?
live within the town.
Oh, for town residents.
If you live within the town, you can ride the van as you always have anywhere.
And you could come here
You
to
can come to the
Essex
junction, you can go to the town, you can go anywhere, you just have to live in the town, because those are the folks who are now going to be paying the bill for the service, basically, the taxes for the
A
service.
problem with this is that a lot of people fall between the cracks. They're not gonna be able to, the seniors, they're not gonna be able to qualify, but they still really struggle. Many of them moved to Essex with the idea that, this was a part of coming to the senior center. I know there are people sitting here now, and they may not qualify, but they still need the support of the city in having a meaningful life. So I just think that's a conversation that we need to continue to have about how to support those people that are going to fall between the cracks.
Yeah, and happy to continue having those conversations going forward, for sure. All right. Anything else? Any other questions? Any other comments you want us to think on?
I
would like to say,
I
sincerely,
Wait a minute, because we still have things going on.
one thing, I sincerely hope when you,
They're gonna- Nicole?
the board member of Essex and the Junction or the town, when you become seniors, you don't have to go through this. And make us fight for something that
You have to be louder, Gail.
I can't go louder. I'm sorry.
That's not the.
I just, I'm sorry that you have to put us through this. I really am. I think it's difficult on you, but it's twice as difficult on us.
And
To lose a space that we enjoy and have had many new friends and the old friends come back.
Yeah, and I think, I hope it's clear that the city council certainly values and appreciates this space as it is for you folks.
What you're doing.
And I hope it's clear that I said you're not getting kicked out of this space.
Only half of it.
Yeah.
For the time being.
Yeah.
That's for the
So
time
anything
being.
we do
We don't know what's gonna be down next year or the year
Yeah.
after.
Right.
We may
It's
lose
gonna be
the
gone.
space.
It's gonna be gone.
If the city continues to, hire people and they're gonna have larger force working for them, you're gonna need more space, and obviously you're not planning on building anything, just renovating this building. So that at some point you may need more space, and that may mean we're out of here.
In the renovation plans that we have now, there is some additional space for the city to grow, just a little bit. But there is also some space it's hard to describe the buildings, so this, what you believe to be one building is actually four. And the redesign of the space within the teen center has some areas that could also be expanded into before we needed to expand into a much larger space like this. It is the intention, as of now, and as we've said, I can't promise you anything. I don't know what 5 years looks like down the road. But our direction by the city council has been to maintain this room as is. Those spaces there originally in the process of merger, they used to be offices for the village of Essex Junction. And then when we all thought that we were going to merge, some of those positions moved over to 81. Those spaces became available, and at that time the council had allowed the senior center to use it. And unfortunately, with the way that things worked out, we're now coming back the other way, and we need the office space for the time being.
Can I ask a question? I don't know. To me, it's such common sense, but there could be all kinds of problems. Obviously, Essex, the town of, and Essex Junction, the city, have a great deal in common. I don't know, lots of people here are in both, okay? And
all of our kids go to school together.
even though they've separated, all right, I understand they're, they voted to do this and all that. I'm new here, so they separated, but it would just seem to me that there are probably other things than the needs of seniors that the two towns could sort of, not my town and your town and all this, but just say, okay, there's a need here. These are the, we mingle like crazy here. You drive in and out of all these places and just, get together and work it out.
So it's the senior center, and I've been here for a long time. I've been here for, I think I've been in the.
I've been here since 1969.
I'm not going to compete. I'm not going to compete with any of you. I do not want to compete with any of you.
I know what you're going to.
But
we worked on. We thought we were going to get together. We worked on it. We've been back and forth so many times.
And where I was headed with that conversation is that the Essex Senior Center is unique, where you are an entity that is hosted by the village and supported by the town that also supports seniors out of Colchester and Williston and Winooski. And so now we have these two entities that were together that are now separate. And as Nicole has stated, their recreation department plans to continue to support seniors in any way, shape that they can with the facilities that they have and the programs that you've run. And it is fully the city's position as hiring the adult programmer to also support your programs, and we have the basic facility. So it's in my mind, it's a bumpy road going forward, trying to figure it all out. But I can tell you that it is within us that we want to do the best that we possibly can within the means that we have to support. This is important. We understand that this is important.
We appreciate that greatly because it has not been.
I appreciate that.
For the past number of years.
I appreciate that.
We have not been supported, and so it's good to hear that our voices will be heard and that hopefully we can work together to iron out problems.
Yeah, and figure out the best future.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for giving us your time.
Thank you.
We should have put down here too.